This is Bloomberg Technology. I'm Emily Chang in San Francisco. Palantir, the famously secretive and controversial data mining company backed by Peter Thiel, is poised to go public via a direct listing on the New York Stock Exchange on or about September 23rd. Joining us now for more, Santosh Rao, head of research at Manhattan Venture Partners, who was at Palantir's virtual investor day meeting today. So, Santosh, thank you so much for joining us. How did that meeting go? Did you get more of the concrete details that you were looking for about the business?
Yeah, thanks for having me. As you know, we are early investors in Palantir, so we knew a lot about it, and I've been writing about this for the last 4 or 5 years that I've covered this company for my company. It was a great analyst day, a lot of information, a lot of granularity and clarity on their products. And that was a big strike against them for so long. It's a very opaque company. No one knew exactly. We had vague idea what they do. I mean, the general public did not know, rather. So I think this was good. They came out, gave us good use cases, gave us some clarity on where they want to go, their long-term targets, and overall their positioning in this market, in fast-moving market, against their competitors. I think it was very informative, and I came out very convinced that our bull case is justified.
So how big is the bull case, though? This is a company that raised at a $20 billion valuation in a private round a few years ago, but you have new, research companies pegging the valuation closer to $9 billion. Do you think that the company is going to see a big down round as a result of this listing?
Yeah. So, like I said, this company has not been an easy ride. It has its ups and downs. Investors have had to wait a long time for their exit. It had its share of issues with the products. I think really in the last 2-3 years, it's really come the growth. The revenue engine has really fired up with their Foundry product, which is the closest to a plug and play. It's a faster rollout, and the revenue recognition is faster. So all that is really coming together. So over a period of time, it was pretty slow. So when it raised the money last time, the market was in a different place. Then it went down because there were a lot of concerns, rumors, this, that, a lot of negative PR. So this company has seen everything. I think at this point, they've had it all together. I would say the valuation that you mentioned is probably on the low end. I can see a little further out, maybe around 16 to 17 billion coming off the gate, considering all the peers around them and their own growth trajectory down the road that we project. So I think that's closer to that. 20 billion looks slightly higher at this point, and I would rather they go a little lower and prove themselves and work their way into it.
Speaking about the culture and some of the controversial relationship with the U.S. government, obviously the U.S. government is a huge customer of Palantir. In fact, the revenue is about half and half split between government entities and private commercial companies. CEO Alex Karp at the Investor Day was pretty clear. He said, we've picked sides here. If you don't like who we're working with, then don't invest in our company. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think that's been their trademark. They've been pretty independent. They don't care about the PR that generally works in Silicon Valley and on Wall Street. They're pretty focused on what they do. And they are, one of the things about this company is they're not afraid to take on risky projects that are not popular, but that fall into their mission of being patriotic and doing the right thing by the army, by the government, by our allies. So they're not afraid to do that. And that's been their forte. That's been their strength, but also it has a lot of headwinds in terms of PR. So this company really sits at the intersection of Me Too, Trump, all the different issues playing out there, ICE and this and that. But underneath the covers, this is a strong software company with 2 solid products catering to a market that needs it at this point.
How concerned are you about the governance issues and the fact that the co-founders, including Peter Thiel, are going to own almost half the shares of the company and voting control in perpetuity?
Yeah, it's always a concern, and we would rather, if they want to have that, I would rather they have a sunset clause. I can see them having control in the earlier years, in the beginning, to shape the company in their vision. So that makes sense. But then you have to have a sunset clause to come out, and then just let it float and let the market and the board decide what to do next. So I think that is definitely a concern. Is a concern with many other companies also that we have invested in, like Lyft and all that. But dual structures have become the norm for the startups. Hopefully it will get better and you'll have a sunset clause for everyone, a requirement. So it doesn't really make it bad, So I think let's see where it goes, but it's definitely not the ideal situation.
So what are you going to be watching for as we approach September 23rd, the day-ish that we're expecting this to happen quickly?
Yeah, so it's not really an IPO, right? So it's a direct listing. So we really don't have a price that they need to beat or anything like that. So that's good in that sense. So we'll see where they come out, if it holds, which I think it will. There'll be a little commentary around it. The biggest thing that investors will be looking for, can they sustain the first half growth, which was solid? The year-over-year growth is solid. So they just want that continuation into the first half. The third quarter numbers are going to be important, and hopefully they will continue from there. Just the beat and raise quarters down the road, which is very important for these startups.
All right, Santosh Rao of Manhattan Venture Partners. We're going to be charting this every day towards the direct listing, as you say. Thank you so much for joining us. Coming up, we're going to talk to an expert in the virtual classroom world, looking at